Robert and I met on July 8th, 1978. That's 7878. In the nude. Now, what was this shy Jersey girl with low self-esteem doing in such a public state of undress? Mr. Debonair Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, let me take you back to who Randy Davis was in 1976. 28 years old, just out of a very painful marriage, working for a bullying, loud, aggressive VP of an ad agency. I was his admin assist. And there was an account executive who saw all this going on, who came over to me, Francine Friedman, and she said, Randy, you got to do two things. Girlfriend, join an assertiveness training class. And think about taking a summer share in a house in Fire Island. Fire Island? Isn't that for gay people? Well, as it turned out, only 2 communities on the island are gay and lesbian. There are 26 communities. So I took Fran's advice, and with her help, I went and answered an ad in the Village Voice. And I brought my check as a deposit for the summer, and the guy said to me, you can't give me your money. We got to vote on whether or not to let you in. And I went, oh, it goes my summer. They're not going to let me in. I'm not interesting. Well, to my surprise and delight, a week later, someone called me and said, we'd like you in our house. Wow. So 1976, I took a half share in Fire Island. Now, for those of you who don't know Fire Island, it's a very skinny sandbar, about 32 miles long, about 52 miles from the very spot we're sitting in. There are no vehicles on the island. And you rent a bed in a room either every weekend or every other weekend, hence the half share. I took the half share. I was very shy, so every morning I would wake up before sunrise, I would take my stuff, I would schlep as far west as I could, so I didn't have to talk to anyone. Spread out all my stuff, gather it up before sunset, schlep back to my house, help with dinner, enjoy my housemates, and then go to bed. I had such a good time that summer that I came back the next summer in 1977. Same half share, same house, in a community called, appropriately enough, Kismet. My fate. So as was my routine, I would schlep as far west as I could. I spread out my big red and white blanket. I put up my beach chair, my big canvas beach bag, and a large radio. I slathered myself with suntan lotion, laid down, unhooked the top of my bathing suit. So, right, ladies, we don't want tan lines, do we? And I fell asleep. The next thing I knew, I was under a speeding police car. The first set of tires ran over my calves as I tried to scramble away. The second set of tires ran over my thighs, and I started screaming. And the cops only stopped because they heard me screaming. They had no idea what they'd done. I was under their vehicle. And one cop came over and covered me with my blanket because my top had fallen off. It was unhooked. And people hundreds of yards away who hadn't seen the accident stood up and applauded because they thought the cops were covering up a topless sunbather. Another one of the cops radioed for a helicopter to fly me off to the nearest hospital, and I slept. And because it was the cops, they were the ones giving all the media interviews. And they said, we didn't see her because she was nude and blended into the sand. Not one of the media called me for my side of the story. It was in the evening news for my parents to hear, and we had no phone in our house, so they had no idea what was going on with me. It was in the New York Times. It was even in Newsweek. Now, my friends, my housemates, who knew I would not be caught nude on the beach ever, not let alone topless, ever, were furious. And they were, when they'd see the cops driving along the beach speeding, they would rip off their bathing suits and prance around in front of the cops and taunt them. And I'm in traction for 2 weeks in the hospital. I get out of the hospital, I come back to Kismet, and as was my routine, I schlepped all the way west to my little oasis, and my jaw dropped. Because there in front of me, in my private little corner of the beach, were about 200 tushies, 400 bare cheeks. I had inadvertently created the first legal nude beach on Fire Island. No more hiding, folks. Literally and figuratively, no more hiding. Everybody knew who I was. So about a year later, almost to the day, this bronzed Adonis comes sauntering over to my blanket and looks down at me and says, "Do you mind if I sit down?" And decades later, folks, he will always remember what I was wearing when we met. A wristwatch. True. Now, isn't that fabulous? Mr. Toastmaster.